And now from Singapore, Lawrence Cho is the CEO and co-founder of Consulus. He serves as a managing partner for the global network of Consulus Partnership, present in 9 countries. He's a leader and thinker, and his clients is he's a featured speaker on Asian innovation and design. He's a product leader. He studied in Raffles Design Institute, majoring in design and marketing. And there's a website in case you want to get to know more about Lawrence. With time constraint, let's now listen to Lawrence Chong.
Yeah, okay. Good morning. Yeah, I'm not a stranger here because I grew up in the idea and I have been here many times. So you may not recognize me because usually I come in jeans and t-shirt. and it's very nice that so many of the gen that we grew up together, no? We're now married. Some are professors. We are starting to have a bit of white hair. And the Poppy, the Poclarini that train us and groom us, it's always a family. So I would like to apologize to the translators also, because yesterday when I arrived, I was moved by the deep communion. We have a saying: if the sharing is so good, we would like to stay, and don't leave. Pitch a tent, But of course, we will not do that because we have to meet the timeline, But just to say, I'm sharing something very humble. It's just what we understand, and hope it will be a gift also from us, an act of love from Singapore to all of you. To put simply, the topic is something all of us are very familiar with: unity. But I must confess, in 1995, 21 years ago, when I was 16, many of us here, including myself, we were in Rome, listening to Chiara, talking passionately about unity. But you must understand where I come from. I'm a Singaporean. Sometimes it's hard to believe that unity is possible. And you must understand, 1995 was a time of the Bosnian War. Of course, we heard very concrete experiences about how people managed to forgive and to overcome. But to us, the young people, even though in the stadium, what Chiara spoke about was a reality. In our group from Thailand, there were not only Christians, there were Buddhists. And in the stadium, we met Muslims. We met even people who don't believe in God. And we were in the same stadium, 20,000 of us. And 20,000 young people listening to an old lady and keeping very quiet is not normal. But for sure, that day, for me especially, it touched me very much because Chiara said, Jen, she called us new generation. Jen, don't aim for just crumbs on the table. Aim high, And if you are who you are meant to be, you will conquer the world. Now, I must also confess another thing. In 1995, I have just finished an archdiocesan camp for priests. Because my priests think that I have been serving in the church for so long, I should consider thinking of becoming a priest. And because I was also an altar boy, and I've been serving Mass for many years, the idea of priesthood is connected somehow, But I said yes when Chiara said the revolution, to aim high, to build the united world. But I imagine the united world I will be contributing will be a parish in Singapore. Because that was the only thing I knew. Practically, I was living in the church because I would have youth camps, we would have altar boys camp, and the Focolare was present. And the place where we were was very rich with that idea of family in Singapore where the Focolare was. So that was only in my mind. And you must also understand, in 1995, we are a generation that remember how to get excited when the numbers started going from 10, 9, 8, until 1, where we have the satellite link up. You know? But now we take it for granted because now we are linked live to the world. We know 10, 9, we are to YouTube, actually. So you have to understand these things were in the situation. Of course, Kiara said, aim high. Kiara said, the united world is not a utopia. The united world is possible. Now, what happened? And we need to take this fast track now to the present world. The science of the united world. Turns out that when I said personally yes to Kiara, and I would say the Kiara prophecy is very real. Because today, we are instantaneously connected. Technically, if everyone had a social media account, we are considered plugged into the international citizenship of the world. In fact, in the Philippines, you practice it. You are so clever. On the immigration form, you are social media account. You know? That's the best. You know? Because you find the address, you can't get the person. And I was so surprised that the Philippines are so advanced. We should do that and learn from you and check the social media account of the person if they come to Singapore. And also, the Kiara prophecy is very real because even business strategy had to change. If you are trying to build a global business and you do not know how to bring people together, you do not know how to build an ecosystem, you are finished. Because this company was almost bankrupt in 1997. But when its revival came because they decided to change, instead of everything closed, they started to open their system to app developers. And today, the irony is Apple, which used to be very proud of doing everything themselves, now says that they are supporting an app community to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars, actually billions around the world. And this is something that requires a realization of sort that this is our world now. Again, what Kiara foretold in a sense, I don't know how she sees, probably something much more advanced perspective, but it is something hard, very hard to imagine in 1995. And we know that, including the last climate change, unity is needed at every level. Our biggest problem and crisis confronting this world, the solutions are actually very straightforward. If people are willing to talk without prejudice, and people are willing to find a solution can be found. Actually, that's the greatest paradox because we have so much means, so much resources to end poverty, so much strength and talent to raise the least among us to a sustainable future. We actually have the money to do so, but we are not choosing to do so. Not because we cannot do so, right? So even at the climate change conference, it was very interesting that the French, and I know the French are good at hosting, they took care to make sure that the tension was reduced. You must know that the climate deal was defeated. There was another conference before, but it was lost. But there was so much care in order to bring people together, to reduce tension, so that they could arrive at a reasonable conclusion. Again, a practical application of unity. And even more, for the first time in history, it will cost you more money if you try to break unity. By a lot of estimates, including warnings from the IMF and the World Bank, if the United Kingdom were to leave the EU, it would cost them almost $100 billion and lose 1 million jobs. It is interesting. We came from a point where nations literally said to each other, we don't need you. We can do everything ourselves, to the point whereby, wait. If you say, I don't need you, something is going to happen. The co-interest, the interconnectedness is actually a very, very real reality in our times. Even we can say the unfortunate rise of extreme evil in our time, very ridiculous and nonsensical kind of evil, to go back to the ancient times, is a reaction. It's a reaction to the goodness that is rising, to the desire of peoples to dialogue. For the first time in human history, and I remember this personally because when Pope John Paul II held the first Assisi Day of Prayer, the Cardinal was sharing with us, the youth, that at one point, when the religious leaders were going to walk up to the place of prayer, the Pope said, I will walk with them. And the Cardinal also said, no, 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 you cannot do that because you are the Pope. But the Pope said, no, I will do that. And how is that important and significant for us? Because Pope John Paul II, Saint Pope John Paul II, recognized that this is the time of unity. And of course, now it's becoming too normal for us to see religious leaders standing together that we don't even bother, which is a pity, because even today, in some countries, if religious leaders were to stand together, there would be protests. But just to say that religious leaders themselves believe in contributing to a united world. Even entertainment. How many of you know this show? Do you know who watched this show, Descendants of the Sun? How? Four on the internet. They featured English. Of course, they're always beautiful looking. They had to speak English sometimes. It was they did an outside shoot. They did it in beautiful Greece. So these, they had to reflect the reality of the united world, or you will never economic success. You can check them out still, but it's still very hot. This year, by GlobeScan, but for 20,000 people around the world, turns out that the question was, do you feel that you are a global citizen? And 56% of these 20,000 people surveyed said yes, that I feel increasingly that I am a member of the global society, a global citizenship. So, dear friends, why am I telling you this? I'm saying this because when I started, I feel that I can never, it is a beautiful time that we are in, that we cannot imagine what Kiara said to us in 1995, how fast the world is racing towards the united world. It is almost as if a divine plan was set into motion. We are not the only recipients of that grace. Today, Senator Bang Aquino, what he shared was a very clear representation that the seeds of the united world are spread throughout the world. And I find this true also in the interreligious dialogue, because when we meet with the friends of Risho Kosekai, when we meet with friends on Shanti Ashram, they too have the seeds of the united world. So this idea of the economy of communion is not a utopia. It is what the world wants. So if in your mind you are thinking, is the economy of communion possible? To share with you, after reviewing all these companies, the economy of communion is already a reality, but you may not realize. So the question is, if the economy of communion is in fact something that the world desires, everybody is working towards, what kind of a united world will emerge? We must also know that big companies are trying to shape a united world. Google, for example, talks about shared data systems to transform healthcare and everything. Facebook, we are all contributing to the Facebook research machine. Facebook is trying to find how many times we like something and how many times we smile at something. That's why the emoticon like, the symbol was changed recently to a heart shape, so that they can sense the nuances in the reaction to any particular post. So this is the science. So coming back to myself, as I said, in 1995, I wasn't thinking, I could not foresee this possibility of what I'm doing. And the only thing I could think of was trying to move towards to become a priest. And this is one of that. But of course, God had other plans. And last year, God gave us, Michelle and I, a gift. Natalia was born. So when we started the company, one of the things that we understood was maybe through our work, we need to try to find a way to bring about the united world. But we didn't understand how. So one of these experiences was working with a bakery shop. And we worked with this company and we reviewed the company and we saw that this company needed an update on the designs. But even after we have done the designs, turns out that something was lacking. What was lacking? The problem was not the design. The problem was that company didn't have mutual trust between the management and the staff. So the staff were treated like machinery, part of a machinery, so to say. You have to produce, you have to produce, you have to produce. So we decided to change our approach of consultancy to include the element of business. Because we understood that if you just do a design and you do not understand the organization and you do not change the organizational culture, then nothing will change. But it was easier said than done in 2004. Because at that time, not now, now it's much better, designers and management consultants don't mix. It's like oil and water or whatever it is you call it. So we had to find a way to make it olive oil and vinegar. You know, so we had to get management consultants into the company, and then we had to do many exchange sessions, methodology, in order to have a shared approach to solving the problems. So our work, most of the time now, is dealing with companies at a crossroads. What do I mean at a crossroads? They are making money, but they feel something is lacking. And interestingly enough, every company, regardless of their faith, desire to do work that is meaningful. Or as Steve Jobs says, to produce things that make our hearts sing. So we call our service Purpose Core, essentially to help the companies find purpose so that they can renew themselves and contribute to shaping a better world. As we begin to do this over a number of years, we also understood something else. We understood that we cannot just be a company that is good at consulting. What is really the problem in the economic order? The issue is the big consultancies, their business model is aimed towards scale and exploitation. Not the people in those consultancies, but the current business models itself. And if we want to change a better world, we must provide an alternative, including the advertising agencies themselves. They are part of a massive system for scale and exploitation. So we understood that we had to find a way to build an alternative consultancy that focuses on fraternity, that focuses on sustainability. But again, how? We are not sure. So over a period of time, as we were sharing our experiences, we decided to pick this as our purpose statement. Based on our experiences, that we realized that many people do desire to do good. And they do want to find that they can contribute to shaping a better world through business, not just through corporate social responsibility. So these are my core partners. And among us is very interesting because we are free thinkers, we are Muslim, we are Christian, and I'm the only one who knows the vocabulary. Even the vocabulary. So just to give you an experience, once we had received a prospect, and the project was very nice, and we were one of the stronger competitor. But because we learned that the company was dealing with selling fire weapons. So, but we needed the money. So we had a partners meeting, and I said, it's good money, but we shouldn't do it. And my partner Jeffrey said to me, are you out of your mind? Then I had to explain why. That we promised ourselves that we are trying to build a different kind of consultancy. No? If this is our wish, we need to test. So my excuse was, we need to test. I cannot use God. We need to test whether that strategy can work. So he looked at me, he wasn't so convinced, and he said, I hope you know what you're doing. So we rejected that job, but 2 months later, we received another job, not as much as this job, but it was enough to pay the bills. You know, just to say, we have been doing this. There were many moments where we had to say no to a project because it didn't reconcile with our beliefs. The second problem we understood was, how do we grow the business? If we keep hiring consultants, we have to deliver the cost to the customers. And if we keep, because the current consulting model is higher and higher fees to the point whereby you are holding them ransom. How do we do it in a sustainable manner? So we decided to have a group of core that we develop and build and understand this new way of consulting, and also work with consultants who are experts but on a project basis. And also to give away part of our methodology to people who like our methodology, but they can also try to live a bit of what we are trying to do. So these are the country partners, and we are doing this in a number of places. And then you have consulting partners. So in this way, we do not need to always have high costs. We can bring down our fees according to the needs of the different companies, even the smaller companies that don't have much money. And sometimes we have to lower the fees so that we can be able to help them. So many a times it's very fulfilling work because, like this company is a regional company in Asia. They have branches in China, in Thailand, in Indonesia, and everything like that. During the workshop, after they had this session with us, they said this: we don't know what you are doing, but it's working. And number three, the second person continued. How come we need a consultant to help us to talk to each other? You know, because they start to open up and say the challenges of the relationship and everything, you know. Then, when you talk about business models, how companies make money, even in this conversation, it was interesting because somebody said, how come we couldn't see? We have been doing this business for 20 over years. We couldn't see. And it's very useful and beautiful for me because when we do this work, you know, in the movement, we always say, see with new eyes. When you love the other person, you automatically see with new eyes, you know, and so we bring the same philosophy to them, and they are surprised. We can innovate, even though we have not been in the business for 20 years. And this is the National Bank of Brunei. When we worked with them, it was a merger of two banks, two very distinct banks. And every time they come for a meeting with us, in order to show that they are different, one a cup that featured the logo of the previous company, another cup would be the other bank. So it came from which bank? So when we did the branding, we said, you are different banks, but you are Bruneians. So we gave them a tagline, Bruneians at heart. And they were proud to explain, and now they forgot of the fact that they are from two banks, and they are Brunei. So, in essence, our work very much has been in the business of service, to act as the servant, to bring people together. One of the things we did for ourselves at the very beginning was, we couldn't find another consultancy that was living like this. So we decided, I proposed, and then they agreed, that I said, you know, it would be nice to write our beliefs and to vote, no? Line by line. I mean, for the Gen, we know what we did before, no? So we did the same. So we started to say, do you think unity is important? Yes, very important. And the vote has to be unanimous, because we have different partners. And say we took 3 days to write how we live, how we communicate, how we make decisions on money, how we make decisions on expansion. There must always be 2%. And to promote someone, there must always be 2%. We don't have a balance of male and female, unfortunately. So far, So, but just to say that there must always be 2 in the decision making. And so, over this period of time, really thanks be to God that we managed to serve in many countries, Vietnam, India, China, even sometimes in the US and Australia. But we don't make, we don't make a lot of money because we wanted very much to test our approach of unity, whether it can be used in many different situations. Because we wanted to be sure that it's not our idea, but we wanted to be sure that it's a solution that will be useful for these companies. And the last part, just to give a very quick conclusion to this thing, is we realize that actually many companies, they operate at a level of what I call an unrealistic risk. You should take risk, but you should take risk with a level of purpose, not take risk randomly. And what I mean is, most of the companies know that lack of trust is a problem, but most of the time they don't want to address the problem. They actually sleep over it, hope it will go away, and then they find someone else to scold someone. So sometimes we are in meetings, it's like dealing with, couples or individuals who have a relational issue, but they were not able to open up. So, because there is no actual unity, there is perceived unity, they actually take more risk. So, it is very interesting because in our company and the companies who try to practice this, all the clients told us that after the program, their risk reduced because there's unity. Because you have situations where people would say to us, look, Lawrence, this is a problem. I've known it for 15 years. Then we will say, why don't you tell the boss? Oh, my boss is hopeless. I should not have to tell him or her because they won't listen. This is really strange that they know how to solve it and they don't. And we always ask this question every strategy workshop. What is the most important and useful value for the company? And in 90% of the cases, is unity. No matter how they say it. In some countries, they call it teamwork. They say collaboration. They say unity. They say understanding is all unity. And in truth, the organizations are almost in the cycle of depleting their ability to grow and expand because there's no unity. Because there's no unity, they do not evolve. Because there's no unity, they don't. You have marketing departments, product departments doing their own things. And because there's no unity, they are not sharing ideas, they are not able to inform the evolution of themselves. So we understood this, that we cannot take unity for granted. It is only possible by design. And just to share with you this very, very insight that we learned from studying hundreds of companies throughout Asia, innovation, sustainable and society type of innovation, like the sharing of their bakery, they are because when people have purpose, when they care for people and they care for society, their innovation will definitely be transformative. If you don't care for anyone, you can try, you can spend millions of dollars. We have reviewed R&D budgets with millions of dollars. You cannot change. You cannot bring about something that is dramatic. So, this is a bit, and the text is very small, so I'll make it very easy. We found this dimension of a company. If a company has unity, there are 9 very brief aspects. There is an inspired product because they want to serve. There is a purpose. Purpose means, for example, we can say that Songsida is not just selling bakery. You are not even selling. You are a family. Your purpose is the family and then the family of the city that you are in. And there is a founder. And the next thing that's very important is all companies that have transformative unity generate leaders. They have leaders who, in turn, regenerate followers. And they have a certain way of doing things. They are very clear about what they need to do. They are not confused. And therefore, they can deliver on the promise. And because they are inspired, they are always learning. They are not taking anything for granted. They are not assuming they know everything. They are always humble and they are always saying, I want to learn. And therefore, they have practice and therefore innovation. So we found that if you study a business on the basis of just profit, on the basis of just products, it's not complete. But if you understand the business from the spiritual dimension, from the relational dimension, suddenly everything makes a lot of sense. And you know, this is something that's very interesting. Chiara said about the idea of Sophia, which is all the different discipline. And this year or last year, I don't remember, at the World Economic Forum, they said that the fourth industrial revolution is a convergence of different discipline and data, whatever you call it, is a convergence. And I looked at it and I went like, yeah, but Chiara already foretold this. If you practice the economy of communion, because if you are an EOC company, you have to respect someone from marketing, you have to respect someone who is a baker, you have to respect someone who is an engineer. You have to see together in whatever you do, you have to respect the discipline of the other person. So, just practical examples of what it means when we bring this to them. This company is a family-owned enterprise with many business. When we started with them and we did the review, turns out that the different businesses do not know what the other business is doing. And sometimes they never even met each other. So it's a fast-growing business. So one of the things we did was to bring them together through different workshops in order to help them to build understanding and trust. And in order to help them to remember that they must always be one. And if there is a broken chain, they will not be able to innovate. We redesigned their logo. Their name is Cyclec. So their logo is formed by 6 C's. C, 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 C. And if you take any of the P's out, the logo is different. And so this is just one of the workshop at the strategy level. And I just went for their, I went for their 70th anniversary dinner a few years ago. And one of the directors ran to me and said, Lawrence, I thought something happened. Maybe whatever we gave to them was wrong or whatever it is. And he said, Lawrence, what you guys did for us remain. There is unity. There is teamwork. We are helping each other. And this company has gone on to win sustainability awards. They are transforming society and things in their own way. And another thing that we introduced to the company was, maybe for most of us, you'll be familiar with the idea of the moment of truth. So, yeah, we lived in Consulus. We lived the moment, we call it bonsai. We don't call it moment of truth. We have done a moment of truth for 9 years. The first year we did affirmation, no improvement. The second year we did improvement, and it was amazing. And then we started to introduce to the clients. This is one of the clients doing it. And they told us, where did this come from? How did you come up with this? It's so beautiful and useful, And they started doing this on their own. But the way we do it is this. In Asia, hierarchy is very important, very serious. But in bonsai, the most junior in the company will criticize the highest rank. So, but after they have gone through it, it really changed their life and everything. So this company is a very small company when we started with them. They were $500,000 turnover, and they did the moment of truth of bonsai, and they did all the different sharing and everything. And now they are one of the most innovative violin sellers in the country. And they are really, really going places. So just to conclude, this is just one of the partners that we have, as I said earlier, the partners that we expand into other countries, and this is in Bangladesh, that we and many times have to rethink about how we do business. It's not important to always aim for money. Money is important. You need money to be concrete, but you need other elements in order to show that you can come together and shape a united world. And so we have many partnerships with many other consulting groups. And in recent years, we started to spread this way of doing things through what we call Shape the World conferences. This was done this year in Thailand, where we shared with businesses that it's more than just making money, but you can make a difference while doing business. And lastly, in 2013, in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, we launched this thing called World Company Day, which is we invited companies who wanted to build a culture of unity. The second thing, if they choose to see their suppliers differently, to build a better relationship with them. And number three, if they commit to building sustainable and meaningful products, they can sign up. And 200 companies from different parts of the world sign up for World Company Day. It's on the Feast of the Assumption, August 15, every year. There is a day for union and everything, but there's no World Day for companies. And this is one company that signed up. This is the Hong Kong Broadband. And they were sharing with us the reason why they signed up was they have a special employee ownership program where they literally allow a key group of staff to control the company so that they don't always make money for shareholders and things like that. So, thank you again. I hope this little gift, just to express our love and joy to be here with all of you. And as I said, the economy of convenience is already a reality. Now it's time for facts, not words. Thank you.